10.3 distance tables. Distance tables are used to show how far apart multiple places are from each other. To use them, we look for the cell where the two places meet, and we go down one column and across the other. So if we're trying to look for the distance between Dublin and Madrid, what we do is we look at the Dublin column, which are these values down here, and then we look at the Madrid row, which are all the values in here, and we can see that the overlap between them is this 1,450. So Dublin and Madrid are 1,450 kilometres apart. If we wanted to go between Brussels and Paris, same again, we go down the Brussels column, and then we go across the Paris row, and we can see that they both meet at 261. So that means that Brussels and Paris are 261 kilometres apart. Another way we can use this is if we were to highlight a distance. So let's say we're to go to 1,314. Then if we see which row and column that they belong to, then that's the distance that separates those two cities. So 1,314 is in the Brussels column and in the Madrid row. So Brussels to Madrid is then the 1,314 kilometres apart. And as a final example, what's the distance between Paris and Dublin? So let's highlight the Paris column, or the Paris row, and let's highlight the Dublin column, and we can see the overlap there is this 777. So Dublin and Paris are 777 kilometres apart. 916 separates which two cities? So let's look for the 916, which is here. That's in the London column, and it's also in the Munich row, so that must be London and Munich. 10.4 two-way tables. A two-way table is useful as it allows you to display data on two separate categories. So this might be in tracking two different people's sets of results, or two results for different year groups in different modules of subjects. And it can be looked at for lots of different data. So in this we can see that we've got two modules, Module 1 and Module 3. 8 people scored an A star in Module A, and Module 1. 18 scored an A in Module 1, and 15 scored a C in Module 3. So what we can do then is we could also work out the total number of A stars. So we could add those, and we could see that there'd be 12, 24 A's, 35 B's, 40 C's, 25 D's, 25 E's, 12 F's, 2 G's and 10 U's. We could work out the total number of people in Module 1 by adding together 8, 18, 28, 25, 20, 22, 10, 2 and 9 to get 142. Same for Module 3, so we could add 4 and 6 and 7, 15, 5, 3, 2, 0 and 1 to get 43. If we add these two, we get 185, and that should be the same as if we were to add 12, 24, 35, 40, 25, 25, 12, 2 and 10. So sometimes what we'll get is a two-way table with the totals in place and some missing values, and we can always use the totals, the row totals, or the final total, or the column totals to fill in all the missing information. So let's see about these two questions. How many pupils scored a C or above in Module 1? So a C or above in Module 1 is going to be these 25 people, and 28, 18 and 8. So we're going to add 8, 18, 28 and 25 to get 79. How many pupils scored a C or above in both modules? Well, what we need to do to these 79 people is add together the 15, the 7, the 6 and the 4. So it's going to be 79 plus 4 plus 6 plus 7 plus 15, which is 111. 200 pupils from a school were asked how they travel to school. An equal number of boys and girls were asked. So if an equal number of boys and girls were asked, and there were 200 pupils in the school, that means that the boys must add up to 100, and the girls also add up to 100. Altogether, 70 pupils take the bus. So that means that these two numbers have to add to 70. So to work out the number of girls who take the bus, if we take 38 away from 70, we get 32. So we're 32 girls on the bus. The next piece of information is that we're told that the number of girls who travel by car is double the number of boys who travel by the car. So if the number of girls are 28, and that's double the number of boys, to work out the number of boys, we divide 28 by 2 and we get 14. Now we can also check that by adding together 42, 14, 38 and 6, and the answer is 100. To work out the number of girls who walk to school, if we add 28 and 32 and 1, and then take that number away from 100, we'll get the number of pupils, or number of girls who walk to school. So 28 and 32 is 60, and 1 is 61. So then that means there's 39 girls who walk to school. There are 1,000 pupils in the school. Estimate the number of pupils who take the bus to school. So what we know is that there's 70 pupils out of 200 take the bus in this group. So if we're trying to extrapolate that out to 1,000 pupils, what we would need to do is multiply our data by 5. So if we do 200 and we multiply that by 5, we get to 1,000. So we'd have to do the same for 70, and then multiply that by 5. And if we do that, we get 350. So therefore, we would estimate that the total number of pupils who take the bus to school would be 350. So this extra example then, we've got scores from English, Maths and Science, and there's quite a few blanks, but we are still able to complete the table. So the first one we're going to look at is this Science total. So we know that there are 20 pupils, 20 girls who study English, 13 study Maths, and there's a total of 50 that study those three subjects. So out of the English and Maths, we've got 33. So that means that there's got to be 17 then who study Science. If we look at the Science numbers, what we know is that there's a total of 40 pupils who study Science, and we've just worked out that there's 17 girls who study it, which means then that there must be 23 boys who study Science. If we move now to English, we know that there's a total of 38 pupils who study English, 20 of which are girls. So then that must mean that there are 18 boys who study English. Next then, we can work out the total number of pupils who study Maths, and that's going to be found by adding together the 13 and the 15. And if we do that, we get 28. So now what we need to do is work out the total number of boys, found by adding together 18, 15 and 23. And if we do that, we get 56. The very last score is the total number altogether. So that's this value on the bottom right. And we can do that by adding 50 and 56, or we can do it by adding 38, 28 and 40. They should both give the same values, and they do, and they give a score of 106. So there are 106 pupils altogether.